Welcome, viewers on Facebook. I'm Fenton here at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, and I would like to introduce Maureen Smith, Deputy Consul General at the U.S. Embassy, to answer some general questions about visas and study abroad.
Thank you so much, Fenton. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be with everyone here today. Today, as Fenton mentioned, we're focusing on student visas. We really want to incentivize Jamaicans to study in the United States. It's a great experience for you as a Jamaican to study in another country, gain that experience, be exposed to other cultures. And it's frankly also a great opportunity for universities, colleges, community colleges, high schools, elementary schools, middle schools in the United States to be able to have the experience of hosting foreign students, because then Americans gain exposure to what it is like outside of their country. So it is a great win-win experience for everyone. The general way that you go about studying in the US is first you have to pick a school. So maybe you want to pick a school based on a location. Maybe you want to live in Miami or California or New York. And there's some really great websites out there. One we can put on the screen or in the chat. It's a Department of Homeland Security website, studyinthestates.dhs.gov. And you can actually search based on the type of program that you want and where. And then what you do is you contact the school. You have to get accepted to that school. And it has to be a school that can issue you a form that's called an I-20. Once you have that I-20, that means that the school has accepted you. And that means that then it's time to apply for your visa. And so once you have that I-20, you would go online, you'd fill out your application form, and then you would create an account on our appointment website, which we can also put in the chat or display here. And you make your appointment, and then you come in and you interview with us. So we have several vice consuls. We have no wait for a student visa appointment. And what we'll do is we'll look at your ties to Jamaica so that you intend to return after your program of studies in the US, and also that you have the ability to pay for your program. And so that's the kind of information that we'll talk about and ask you questions about during the interview. Sometimes the most difficult part is trying to figure out where you want to study. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to turn it over to Bernadette from the public diplomacy section here at the embassy so that she can talk about Education USA and the services that they offer.
Thanks, Maureen. The public diplomacy section focuses on what we call Education USA as a platform to advise students. We have a student advisor. She's on training right now. Her name is Claire Walker-Smith. And we have a group of persons who will help you to look for what it is you want, decide on, or guide you to look for what it is you want in terms of schools, guide you on how to search for financial support, and guide you on the ways in which you can prepare for the whole application process, school selection, that sort of thing, in terms of just preparing yourself for studying in the United States, as well as deciding if you want to do a 2-year program, which is an associate's degree, or do a BSc, which is the bachelor's, the first degree, as some persons refer to it, or if you want to go ahead and do a master's. So there are different things we can work with you on. And pretty much that's how we kind of help from the U.S. Embassy side.
Okay. Maureen, I'd like to ask you a question about funding and financial support. What types of funding or financial support does a student have to provide in order to apply for a student visa in the United States?
That's a great question. So the first issue is how you're going to fund your studies in the US. So that is the website that Bernadette mentioned, Education USA. It actually has step-by-step how to find your program, and also some ways on the website are mentioned that you could finance your studies. One way that people can do it is maybe their family has the money saved. And so that's one way that people do it. Or you can apply for grants or scholarships, financial aid. And then when you come to your visa interview, you would want to bring with you proof of how you're going to pay for your studies. So on the I-20, which is the form I mentioned that the school would issue you once you're accepted to the program, it will actually say there on the form how much it is. So let's say it's $20,000 US a year for the program. So when you come to your visa interview, you would want to show how it is that you're going to pay for that. So maybe of those 20,000, 10,000 are in a scholarship from the school, or maybe you have an athletic scholarship from the school. And then the other 10,000, how would you cover that? So maybe you want to bring in bank account statements from the past few months that show a regular balance of $10,000. Or if your aunt is going to be paying for it and she lives in Florida and she's a nurse, maybe you would bring in proof of her work and her bank account statements. So it would be up to the student to show during the interview with the consular officer how they plan to pay for the studies.
Okay. I have another question. So students have to fill out the I-20 form. What's the purpose of filling out the I-20 form?
So the I-20 form is, it's issued by the school and they put most of the information on there. So they'll write your name, your date of birth, what you're going to study, how much the school will cost. And then you as the student, there's a part at the bottom where I think you have to sign it and date it. So there's actually very little that you as the student have to fill out. It's mostly the school that would fill it out and then print it. And then they send it, I think, either a hard copy or they email it to you as the student. And then once you have that document, you can go ahead and make your appointment for your visa interview. And you also have to pay ahead of time a fee. The school will give you information on the fee. It's called the SEVIS fee, SEVIS. And so you just have to pay that online. That's in addition to the application fee that you would pay in order to make an appointment here at the embassy.
Okay. Another question, Maureen. How popular or renowned does the school in the U.S. have to be to apply? Is that important in determining if a student will be granted a student visa?
That's another great question. It does not matter how well known the school is or the reputation. That is completely irrelevant. The important thing is that the school issues the I-20, because not all schools issue that document. Only schools that are registered with the Department of Homeland Security basically have the ability to issue that I-120. And so it can be any combination of schools. It could be a public high school, as long as they issue the I-20. It could be a community college. It could be a traditional 4-year bachelor's program, or like Bernadette mentioned, it could be a master's program. So it really can be any type of school, as long as that school issues the I-20 document.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. We have a question from a Facebook user, Mark. He asks, where can I find information about getting and qualifying for a student visa?
Thank you for the question, Mark. So one website, if Bernadette wants to repeat it, is the Education USA one.
It is educationusa.state.gov, and you can find information there.
Yes, so that would be the place to start. And then I think we can put on the screen or in the chat the website that is to make an appointment. So normally our advice is only visit websites that end in .gov, G-O-V, which signifies that it's a US government website. But the visa website to make an actual appointment is a .com. So we're displaying that in the chat. And you can actually get to it from the embassy website as well, which is jm.usembassy.gov, G-O-V. And then you can scroll down and it says INETA, and then there's many different services listed, and you just click on US visa. And then in that next page, you can see a couple of sites that have different types of information for different types of visa.
Okay. We have another question from John. He wants to know, what if he wants to change schools on his student visa? Can he change schools once he's in the United States?
As far as I'm aware, yes, you can. You just have to go through the proper channels to do your transfer, get all your information into your school that you're attending, your current school, and get the information from the school you're intending to transfer to. Make sure that all your documents are as they should be and that you haven't changed status.
Okay. Okay. All right. We have another question from Tiffany on Instagram. She wants to know, can I use my student visa as a tourist visa?
Thank you, Tiffany, for the question. So when you enter the US, let's say you have both a tourist visa and a student visa. you have to tell the immigration official in the United States at the airport what your purpose of trip is this time. So if your purpose is, let's say you're entering to study in the US, then you would show your student visa. And let's say you do not leave the US, so you finish your semester at the beginning of December and then you want to go to Disney for 1 week. It's totally fine to then go to Disney for 1 week after you're done with your semester. But let's say you have a student visa, but you're in Jamaica for New Year's and you just want to do a 3-day trip up to Miami for shopping. You have to enter on your tourist visa. So whichever visa you present to the US immigration official, that should be in accordance with what your purpose of trip is on this entry.
Thank you. We have another question from Ashika. She wants to know, do I have to give up my tourist visa for a student visa?
You do not. You can perfectly keep your tourist visa and apply for a student visa and vice versa. You can have a student visa and decide to apply for a tourist visa. The great news is that here in Jamaica, we do not have a wait for an appointment. Right now for a tourist visa interview appointment, the first one available is in approximately 2 to 3 weeks. And for student visas, it's even less of a wait. And that's not the case at many countries around the world where there's a much longer wait for an interview appointment. So please do, we encourage people to apply if you want to go to the US to study or as a tourist.
Okay. Okay. So Bernadette, if viewers would like to get more information on the study abroad program, how can they contact you or the embassy?
They can contact us by emailing csmith, CSMITH@educationusa.org, and they can make appointments, or they can just send a general email to our public diplomacy section, Kingston PDS, and we will reach out to them and answer whatever questions they may have.
Thank you. Okay, this concludes our Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us.